Hello, everyone. Good evening to our viewers in Indonesia, and good morning and afternoon to those joining us from other parts of the world. So, welcome to Pranks Project Management Sharing Knowledge, brought to you by PMI Indonesian Chapter. My name is Rio Handoko. I am program board member at PMI Indonesian Chapter, and I will be your host today. On behalf of the PMI Indonesia and the chapter volunteers, I would like to extend our very warm welcome to our speakers and all the attendants tonight. If this is the first time for you to join the pranks, this is a regular event that we run twice a month, where we invite subject matter expert practitioners to share their knowledge, ideas, and experience. If you would like to speak at our event, or if you have any suggestion for speakers that you would like us to host, please reach out to us through our website or social media channel. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to introduce our speaker. Geetha is a senior program and project management professional with 14 years of experience leading large and strategic investment, including AI, IT infrastructure, data center, digital transformation, and product ownership for 2 multinational organizations. She specializes in blank sheet assignment and regional cross-functional IT management initiative. Based out of Singapore, currently she works at Verdana as a Chief Operating Officer. She has been with Until mid 2019, he has been with automotive giant Daimler for almost a decade. She has recently completed her Master of Science in Major Program Management at Business School, University of Oxford. She believes in the power of data and has submitted a thesis on the role of data improving major program performance in the smart city industry. She also holds a Bachelor of Computer Science Engineering, Executive MBA, and PMP, and has done several public speaking engagements across the globe. In recognition of her contribution to the project management profession and IT innovation, she has been honored by PMI in the prestigious Future 50 Leaders 2020 Global List. Tonight, Geetha will share about the strategic digital transformation, a change management approach for sustainable success. Okay, we remind about the event 3 and 4 October 2023 in Marriott Hotel Jakarta, CIMAX. We have many speaker confirmed. This profile our speaker, and then before we start the session, hello Geetha. I want to inform about the rules, the session tonight. The first, all participants will be on mute and videos turned off. Second, for the question, please submit in a chat box. The session will be recorded and a certificate will be distributed to all participants who join this session. And then auto submission video is exclusive for PMI Indonesian chapter member only. The recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Search for PMI Indonesia chapter if you want to rewatch the recording, and then happy learning and give us the feedback. Okay. Please, Geetha, for the session.
Thank you so much, Rio, and everybody. Let me try to share my screen first. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Full screen, Rio?
Yeah, full screen. Okay.
Great. Right. Thank you, Rio, for the introduction and the warm welcome. And hello, everyone. I can see a lot of names on the list, about 57 members. I'm very happy to see this good participation. My name is Geetha Gopal. I'm based in Singapore. I'm very close to PMI. I've been associated with PMI for the last, I think, since 2014. That is when I got my own PMP certificate from PMI. And maybe I'll start, before I go into all this, the digital transformation, etc. I want to tell you my own story of my own association with PMI, so that you can see that, like you all, I was also an ordinary project manager, and who, just because of my association with PMI, I've gone to the next levels professionally, and I really owe a lot to PMI. I'll start a little bit with about my about the projects that I've done in my life. All my life, I've been doing projects. I worked for Mercedes-Benz Group between 2010 and 2019, and in 2019 I joined Panasonic. In 2010, when I first joined Mercedes-Benz Group, I joined as a IT infrastructure project coordinator. I joined on a very small role. And when I got the job, I didn't even know what is project coordination. And then when I got the job, I took the opportunity. It was my first job in Singapore, so I took it happily. And then after I joined, I come to know it is one of the lowest jobs in the department. But it was very good learning for me. And I used to make a lot of mistakes simply because I didn't know that, like other skill sets, running a project is also a skill. In 2010, I did not know anything about professional project management. I did not even know there is something called PMI that exists, that there are certifications for professional project managers. And during one of my assessments, my boss, my boss told me that, you know what, you are very good in your job, but but I can see how people treat you. That is because you don't have a professional certification in what you do. You look at the technical people around you. A database administration has a DBA certificate, and maybe a data center specialist has a relevant data center certificate. So, like that, if you want to be seen as a professional, you need to do professional certifications. And he told me, this is in 2011, 2011, he told me there is something called PMI, Project Management Institute. Please look that up. Their PMP certification is very difficult, but try to get it. It will help you. And he forgot about it, but I did not. The next 1 year, I went for PMP training. I studied. I put my full effort, and in one shot, I cleared PMP. And in the next year renewal in January, I went to him with the PMP certificate and I showed that certificate to him. He was stunned. He did not think I will take it seriously. For me, it was one of the most valuable lessons of my life. And why it's still a certificate, right? The PMP, of course, has transformed me, has given me a certificate that I can proudly show off. Beyond that, what did it do? It gave me the confidence. And you know what I did? I took a color printout of that certificate and I put it on my office wall. So when some technical person comes to me and argues with me or doesn't agree to project timelines, etc., I will simply point to that certificate and tell, just like how you are an expert in your area, I am an expert in my area, and this is how we do projects here. And people would be stunned by by this response. But why did I have to do that? It's simply to ascertain myself, right? We, as project managers, we also need to know our power. There are certain reasons why we run projects in a certain way. There are certain reasons why we put boundaries, and that has to be respected by people in projects. Just because somebody is more technical doesn't mean that he can do a project well. That is why project management professional as a profession is a very, very difficult thing to master, simply because you have to master yourself, you have to master people around you, you have to master the job you are doing, and you have to master unknown things. And to me, that is project management, and that confidence is what PMI gave me. 2014, around 2014 onwards, I started taking on more stronger projects, very difficult projects. As you can see here on the left hand side under Mercedes Benz Group, starting from small scale projects, I went on to do large scale projects like data centers. All the biggest data center migrations I have done. And it's not easy, right, to do a data center migration. In one weekend, you have to move all your servers, all your applications to a new location, and everything should work perfectly fine on Monday morning. Otherwise, your applications won't run. Your sales applications will fail. You won't be able to make any sales or run production. So that was how serious that those projects were. But it gave me more confidence than ever. And from there, I went on to do AI projects. In 2016, just then, OpenAI was released in 2016, and they handpicked me to run a in-house AI incubator program. And at that time, like I said, right, nobody did AI in-house, and nobody used open source at that time. But we took it as a project. I got my own people to build their skills, and then we started developing the product with AI open source solutions, and we built something very, very customized and proprietary for our company, and that became a huge hit. And that was the project which gave me the PMI Future 50 award. Because PMI interviewed, found out about this project, then they interviewed me. And after that, somebody recommended me for the PMI Future 50 award. And that is how I got into the list. Why I'm saying this story is just a certificate can change a life. This is how my life changed. I would like you guys. I was an ordinary, an ordinary person with many dreams, but I didn't know how to get there. And PMI was my stepping stone. I'm always grateful. That's why whenever PMI calls me to speak in any event, however busy I am, I will never say no. I will somehow make it. That's because I'm so grateful, and I will always remember this. Today I might have done so many projects, but that validation came because of that one certificate. Yeah, so that's my background. And after Mercedes-Benz, I moved on to Panasonic. When I went to Panasonic, the scale was something else. I became the head of infrastructure projects. That means every year we had to deliver 160 infrastructure projects, not 10 or 20, 160. And it's not easy to run projects in IT network, right? And it's not easy to run application hosting for customized applications, etc. But we had to do it, at the request of the customer. And how did we do it? So for me, my mindset from moving away from doing projects on my own to large scale projects, and then to do portfolio, like 160 projects means I had a 17 member team, and across APAC we split the projects across the APAC, and we delivered. That gave me another new perspective. And the experience coming from the ground, being a ground level project manager to overseeing a whole portfolio makes all the difference. So that's why I'm very proud of where I started. And, all that experience only helped me to go on to take on the next level challenges. And in Panasonic, the experience and exposure is amazing. They do such brilliant work in Panasonic, and was my privilege to work for this kind of a company. And after that, for the last 6+ months, I've been working for Verdana. I'm the COO and the CTO. I also help to build their product, so the product responsibility is also mine. And all the experience that comes from running technical projects. Today, I'm able to build technical products for the market. Now I'm in the B2. I'm no longer in the as an in-house service, in-house project expert. Now I have to deliver projects for the market. So that's the next level challenge that I'm currently undertaking. And yeah, that's, I think every step has brought me further and further. So that's my story. I hope you found it useful, my background, to know me a little bit better before we go to the topics. If you have any question, or if I speak very fast, please put it in the chat so I can check, because I tend to speak fast. Rio, you can kindly let me know if I speak very fast.
Yeah, everything okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay, now let's go to the topic. So today, the topic is strategic digital transformation. And we will talk about 3 things today. The first one is the history of digital transformation projects. We talk about that. Second one is we talk about digitalization strategy. Then I will go into case study. So I will give you my own experience on running digital transformation projects. So let's start with the digital transformation projects. I have one question for you before, so please put your response in the chat. My question to you, all of you, is how many digital transformation projects do you think will fail? On a scale of, if there are 5 projects running, how many projects will fail? Three, 4, 5. You mean fail, right? I hope everybody is answering for fail. 5 out of 5. Okay, interesting. 5%. Oh. Okay, 1. Okay, shall I show you how many actually fail? This is the pre-COVID performance overview, meaning between 2007 to 2016, the report came out sometime in 2016, I think, end, by Standish Group. You see on the left-hand side, by industry. Across industry, doesn't matter whether you're in telecom, whether you're manufacturing, whether you're government or finance. Look at the red and the orange ones. Red and orange means either they fail or did not meet project goals, meaning as good as failing. Whoever said 4 out of 5 actually had the right answer. 4 out of 5 projects either fail fully or most of their, it's a waste doing those projects. And only roughly 1 out of 5 projects either meets the project goals or are considered as successful. As you can see, that does not matter the industry, and they have studied 5,000 plus projects, not 1 or 2. And now let us look at the right hand side by type. What are the type of digital transformation projects that succeed, and what are the type of digital transformation that fail? Again, orange and look at yellow and orange or red. 4 out of 5 are failing. Right? In that, which are the projects that succeed? If you want to build something totally new, fail. If you want to buy somebody's product from outside and install as it is, may be successful. If you want to go from state A to state B, meaning you already have an application which is running very well, and you are going to next version 2.0, that is successful. But if you want to totally change the application, for sure fail. Why? Isn't that amazing? Like, that means you can't do anything new. You do anything new, it will fail. That's what this data says on the right hand side. What is the so there's a question that has come up by Giki. What was the population and criteria metric to determine fail, challenge, success? A very, very interesting question. Let me explain that. So these guys, right, the Standish group, they, in the 5,000 projects they studied, they plotted several criteria and several metrics. Meaning, a project on the paper has met scope, time, cost. I am a project manager. My project, I have delivered the scope. Cost within the budget. Time within timeline. And still that project was a failure. Why? Because 1 year down the lane, there is not even 20% of people who started using the product continue to use. It is a successful delivery, but it is a failed product. So it is a failed digital transformation. Does that make sense, Gigi?
Yeah, if I allow to open my microphone, that's okay. Yeah. So this is basically we are using the very basic criterion, like scope, budget, and schedule itself. Yeah.
That is one example. Look at it from another perspective. Another criteria is customer satisfaction. Deliver a project. Project-wise, everything works fine. You delivered, you moved on. But the people who are using the application keep calling the help desk. Why? Last year, with the old product, the help desk only had 10 calls per day. Today, with the new product, you are getting 100 calls per day. It is a failed implementation. Right? Because it's not only about meeting scope, time, cost. You haven't delivered a good product. Your customer satisfaction is 0 here. So that is also a criteria, right, to measure success. So, and on the other hand, there are projects which have failed because the cost overrun 3 times more, time overrun 3 times more, change the vendor during the middle of the project. Yeah,
Okay,
I hope that answers your
clear.
question.
Yeah, that's clear, Geetha. Maybe one more question if you allow.
Yeah, please.
Regarding the sampling itself, it is specific on the US market or US continent or Europe or mixed around the globe?
This is a global one.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Geetha.
Thank you, Gigi. You see, it's a very old report, but I always use it because think of it this way. Before COVID, we had many luxuries, right? I'm sure you will agree. Free movement, more budget that time. So even then, these things, and that time we had more opportunities for digital transformation. In 10 years down the lane, we have actually transformed a lot. But 10 years before, there was more scope for digital transformation, right? That time nobody had cloud. Even cloud was a digital transformation 10 years ago. And so when there was opportunity for digital transformation itself, so much of failures have happened. So that for me, this is why it's a very interesting data. Today everything is digital, no? Today sitting at home, today I'm sitting in Singapore and I'm presenting to you in Indonesia, from all over Indonesia, which has how many time zones you are connecting. That is a digital transformation on its own. But 10 years ago, this would not have been possible. 10 years ago, we would not have had 66 participants on the call digitally, virtually. But even then, this much of failure. Okay, I will move on then. I hope that was an interesting and useful slide. But now, to me, COVID was a great opportunity for digital transformation. That's why I feel that with crisis, right, we have done amazing things during COVID. And if you ask me, COVID is a black swan event. Do all of you know what is a black swan event? Maybe you can put in the chat. Have you heard of black swan event before? No answer. So maybe I will explain a little bit. What is a black swan event? A black swan event is something that you cannot predict before. You cannot even imagine that something like this is going to happen. When it happens, what can you do? You have to fix it. You have to find ways to do it. Similarly for COVID, right? When COVID happened, did we, like 1 month before COVID, if somebody told you the whole world is going to work from home, will you believe it? If I go and ask for work from home, I've seen bosses who say, sorry, we can't, if we give work from home for one person, we have to give work from home for every person. We can trust you, but we can't trust everybody. That was the answer I've got from many people. But after COVID, just like that, the whole world worked from home. That was a black swan event. And when that happened, we adapted. And similarly, in projects, right, you can expect many black swan events. There are a lot of things that can go wrong, unknowns. You can only plan so much. You can only plan for so many risks. You can only put so many risk mitigation. There are certain things which will come up, which you cannot predict in the past. You cannot predict when you're writing a risk register. But when they occur, as project managers, we have to deal with them. I'm sure all of you as project managers will agree, there's only so much of planning you can do. Am I saying don't do planning? No, you must have a plan. But what I'm saying is you must expect that that plan will not go as per plan. And as project managers, our skill set is how do we adapt to the situation? How do we find solutions? How do we bring people together? And how do we move forward? Do you know how many challenges I have gone through to get to the last line? So many things will come just like that, especially when you're running very, very large programs where there are 100 people involved. You can't keep an eye on all 100 people. And if something goes wrong, what do? You just get on the ground, go fix it. That's what we do. And that's what, as project managers, we should be doing. Take it into, that comes with, you get passionate about what you do, it will naturally come. That's why for me, project management is a skill that you can fine tune. With the more number of projects we do, the more fine tuned we become as project managers. And let's see what the data says. right? After COVID-19, digital transformation, which was failing, like I showed you in the last slide, has been sped up by 5.3 years, meaning we are suddenly, after COVID, we are 5.3 years forward in digital transformation. This is a data from, I forgot the name. So Twilio. This is from Twilio. 3 years consistently, this is their finding. Digital transformation is speeding after COVID. So it's still a good thing, right? Take Microsoft Teams, for example, Zoom, for example. We only had very basic products before before COVID, like we have Microsoft Skype, and and those did not have all the functionalities that you have now. But during COVID, did these companies have to create new products? No, Zoom was already there. Microsoft Teams, Office 365 was already there. People were just not willing to invest. But when that opportunity came, the right technologies grew. And that's why I feel that digital transformation is a success during COVID, because those who already had the technology were able to grow so fast, and the others were still catching up. If no other question, then I will move on. So that's the history of digital transformation, a little bit of background. And let me explain to you on digitalization strategy. Here I want to tell you what were the challenges that we normally face when you are run digital transformation projects. Digital transformation, let me explain to you. I don't know in this group, how many of you are from IT? I'm sorry, I didn't ask the question before. I'm talking very much from an IT perspective, but don't think digital transformation is only IT. If you ask me, digital transformation is people. Digital transformation is not IT. It is who are your stakeholders? How do you handle them? How do you walk them through the change? That will be the biggest challenge in digital transformation projects, and I'll show you why. Why do I say that? Because digital transformation projects will not be only for one department. Very rarely you have digital transformation projects for only one department, unless it's that department's own initiative, small projects, of course. But digital transformation comes from the top. That's how it should be. The organizational goal. What is the organizational goal? What are the digital transformation initiatives that are needed to meet that goal, to meet that strategy? And when that kind of digital transformation projects are created, you will see that they are across the organization. A digital transformation project will affect sales and marketing, will affect manufacturing, will affect end users like you and me who work for the organization, will affect the entire organization. That is how large digital programs are designed, good digital programs. So it means you have multiple stakeholders. When you do projects, when you do your stakeholder mapping, your stakeholder analysis, for one project, one small project, you will already have 10 people on the list. Each of them will be very difficult to in their own way. When you classify stakeholders according to their difficulty level, you will find each of them have their own characteristics and you have to find ways to work with them. Think of digital transformation projects for the whole company. So now it's no longer one person. It is each department will be your stakeholder. Each department, there'll be 10 people whom you have to deal with, whom you have to convince. So the complexity becomes more in such cross-functional projects. And that is why these projects fail. Because you can please sales and marketing. You cannot please manufacturing. You can please the accounting department. You cannot please the CFO. Even if one person is not able, you cannot please them, or you cannot satisfy all their requirements in the project, it is still a failed project. But for that, can you meet everybody's requirement? That is also not possible, right? You can't tell the CFO, I will do the project for free. No, you have to get the CFO to fund. Only then you can do digital transformation project. He's not going to be happy. But as leaders, we have to show the worth of what we do so that those, the relevant support is gained. So that's why just a little bit of example of what goes wrong in these kinds of projects. And another thing is that uncharted territory. Mostly, like I showed you, when you are changing an application or changing a digital program, a digital way of working, people will not accept it simply because they have not done it before and they don't want to do anything new, and they resist. Simply resist because I don't want change. I'm happy with what I'm having already now. You please don't implement something new and break my system. You know what happens really in reality? We do go and implement digital transformation projects and break systems because we do wrong things. We don't do plan properly. So yeah, I mean, they get scared for a reason. That's what I'm trying to say. And another thing is communication issues. You can think that you are doing the best communication. You hire one person just to do communication, just to coordinate. Still, there will be people who will call the bosses and say, what is happening in your program? We don't get any information. No information. The last time I heard was 5 months ago. And you will be stunned. And when you call the communication person and ask, aren't you sending reports? This person will show you the entire data. No, last week we had a call with their team. We explained to their team. Doesn't mean they didn't communicate. They communicated. They just didn't communicate appropriately. The right messaging, key messaging, important messaging. That's what people want to hear. So which is why just any communication is not enough. Too much of communication also not needed. Right messages, relevant messages, messages that add value is what we need to communicate. And that doesn't happen naturally. And another thing is the digital transformation projects in many cases are across countries also. So we have language barrier. We have difficulty communicating with other cultures. And the other interesting thing is security concerns. You go and implement something that puts the whole organization at risk, and that will cost the organization a lot more if something goes wrong. That's why people also resist. Security concerns. We've never done this before. And another concern is, hey, this is my process today, even with manual, is so simple. I write one form, I scan it, and then the data comes into my platform and I'm able to, everything else is taken care of. But you're like, no, we don't use forms. Let's revamp the whole thing. The data will come directly from the system, from this system to that system. I'm going to change everything. No, zero touch. Everything is automated. And when the project goes live, data will not flow from one system to another system. Data gets lost. Systems break down. Integration issues, connectivity issues. And that guy will, and what normally takes, for him, which he can do things on his own, has become now a complex process. Now you call for a meeting with 10 different technical teams trying to find out what is going wrong. So the customer, even if you give him all this digitalization, this is an example to, another example to his question. This is something that, can look like a success, but on the ground, it's a total mess, a total failure. That's because the processes are all messed up. And another thing they say in digital transformation is, please keep it super simple. Do not complicate things. Do not involve anything that will make things complicated. Do the simplest things possible, and it will come out neat. And finally, very interestingly, strategic misalignment. This is a very funny concept. What is your organizational strategy? My organizational strategy is to sell 2 times more, make the sales double. That is my organizational strategy. But after digital transformation, when I look at the data, we see that we are not even meeting 60%, 70% of the target, simply because we have complicated all the processes. So many downtimes. Even when I was selling manually, I was able to make 90%. Now I'm only able to make 60%. These are all real facts. These are all the things that have happened in the real world. I'm not making this up. So that's why digital transformation projects are so serious. And there are companies which have gone bankrupt, which have become big failures because they have done the wrong digital transformation projects. I'm not going to talk about that now, but just you can read about them. If you are interested to research, doing a wrong project can actually cost the company a lot more than even not doing anything. I hope that was useful. I will. Then I have a question for you all. What do you think is the one thing that is needed for a successful digitalization strategy? I would love to see your answers. What is the one thing that is needed for successful digital transformation? Can you put it in the chat, please? Proper plan of delivery and change management, a clear goal, buy-in and support from all levels. Yes, more. All of them are correct. More. Collaboration. Higher level support. Yes. Cultural transformation. Commitment from leader. Frameworks. Clear problem. Yeah, problem statement. Agile. Good communication. Change management. Clear objective. Clear goals. Definitely, I agree with all of you. All of what you have written there definitely is needed for successful digitalization strategy. I'll tell you now what I think, and you all tell me whether you agree or not. In my opinion, the one thing that is needed for successful digitalization strategy is this. It's a mindset shift. Clear roadmap, clear goals, clear workforce strategies. Yeah, I agree with all of you. But to me, right, this is mindset shift. Do you know why I think it's a mindset? Hard to change the mindset. Lol. Yeah. Correct. That's the key. Because that is the most difficult thing. Mindset, changing the mindset. Why are you forcing this on me? When you go and present a new a project, a new digital transformation project, which is actually, you will think, hey, I have come up with the best digital transformation project. I'm going to help all my business units. It's going to save their time, save their money. And then you go present a digital transformation project, and they'll be like, look at you and be like, why? Why are you wasting our time? Why are you making us do more job? Why are you, doing things that are not needed? And you'll be like, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to save your money. Like, no, things are working fine. Just let them be. We end up breaking something, then I have to answer. You cannot change the way I work. I've been doing this for 20 years. You come in yesterday and you tell me what to do today. So are both people wrong? Both people are not wrong. The person who wants to suggest digitalization strategy, digitalization program is not wrong. The person who is arguing, please don't break things that are already working, is also not wrong. That's why I think it's a mindset shift. The person who is let me break it down into three things for you from a mindset perspective. First, right, it's a mindset shift for the top management. Today, this is my organizational goal. Tomorrow, I want to go to this. What can I do best? What can I do best to bring this change? I only create that program. Just because my competitor has done A, B, C, I don't do the same things. I have to do the things that is relevant for my organization. That is a mindset shift for the top management. And another thing is, whether it goes right or wrong, I am responsible for it. It's not that if the project goes well, oh, I am the leader who changed my company. If the project goes bad, the team did a very lousy job. The vendor did a very lousy job. No, your mindset is whether I decide on the program because it's useful for my company, we will do our best and we will see things through. That is the mindset shift that the top management should have, not throw the project away down the drain when they see things not going well, etc. I've seen a lot when I've done my research work, those kinds of projects. People nicely wash their hands off, as we say. Then the second thing is the people who are delivering the programs, delivering digital transformation programs. It is a mindset shift for them also. Why? Because if you don't do your job properly, it is not just about meeting scope, time, cost. It is about quality. It is about usefulness. It is about sustainability. Even when you move your project to operations, they should not get any call. What can you do today when you deliver a project so that your operations is peaceful? I'm not saying operations should not should not do any job. What I'm saying is, what are the best possible things you can implement when you are building the project, even before implementing, when you're designing the project? It is our responsibility as project managers not just to manage scope, time, cost, but to ensure that the people who are designing the actual products, who are designing the actual delivery, are doing a right job. You don't have to be a subject matter expert to sit with the architect and design the building, to sit with the technical team and design the architecture. You just have to be logical enough and hands-on enough to know what people are doing, what are they building for you. That ground level involvement is the best thing that a project leader or project delivery person can do. And that is a mindset shift. It's not only about, I only take care of scope, time, cost. No, if we are just that kind of project managers, we will fail miserably. We have to be on the ground, hands-on project leaders. Only then we will succeed. Our project will succeed. When it goes to operations, they will have a peaceful life. That means you have done a really successful project. That is for the mid-level, like who's delivering. Now let's look at the ground level. People who are going to be affected by the change. It is a mindset shift for them also. Like I said, they are used to doing things on paper. They are in control. I have my own paper for process. I'm going to follow that. Nobody can tell me what to do. And your company is still making money, running your business. Everything is fine. You go and tell them, please, instead of filling the paper, please, and filing it, write it into the system so it gets stored. They don't want to do it. Then, in fact, it's a lot easier to digitize. It is easier for people to accept digitalization. Digitalization is going to make their lives easier than do things manually. But they rather spend 2 hours to write documents manually than to take on digital stuff that are going to improve their lives. Why? Because they're used to things. They don't want to change. Human nature is to resist change. And that is why it's also a mindset shift, which project managers who do digital transformation projects have to be very mindful of. You cannot simply tell them, the boss has decided, the company has decided, I'm going to change your system. Whether you like it or not, you have to accept it. You know what will happen? People will resign. People will fight. People will stop using the system. They'll form a gang. And after spending, maybe like $500,000, $1 million, nobody will use the system because every small mistake that the system makes, every issue, every downtime, they'll make a big scene out of it simply because we did not listen to them. We did not take care of them. We did not handhold them in the process during the project stage. So they will revolt. And then even if you've done a great job with the system, even if everything goes fine, they won't want to use your system and all the money will go for a waste. So that is why it's also a mindset shift for them, which project leaders have to influence. And we'll see in the next stages on what kind of frameworks are there and how can we use them. I hope you all align with that. If somebody disagrees with that or has any other opinion, I'm happy to hear, put it in the chat. So far, I think everybody is aligned, I believe. Okay, now I'll quickly move on. And that's why I think like it's important to ask why. Why are we doing this? Right? Not how to do it. How to do comes next. First question is, why are we doing this? Is it aligned? And we must always remember digital transformation is not about technology. Digital transformation is about, sorry, just a minute, I'm having a little bit of. Yeah, digital transformation is about people, then the processes, and then only technology. Technology is the last. If you decide, if your people are going to accept the idea, if the processes that you're recommending are going to help the company, you can choose any technology. Right. And then I'll quickly explain some tips that we follow, and then we will go on to the case study. Change management. I think somebody in the chat put change management. Definitely, change management is the way for digital transformation. And assessments, even before we start something, right? We have to ensure that we do thorough assessment, thorough business cases. It's not just showing on paper, everything works fine. We have to do proper proof of concept. And sometimes even when we do proof of concept, it's in the digital transformation projects, proof of concept is a success, but the actual project is a failure. Why? Because they did not do enough during the proof of concept. They just scraped the surface. They didn't go deep. They didn't understand before they signed off on the proof of concept. That's why after implementation, these projects fail. And which is why this is a culture that I learned in Panasonic, to do as detailed business cases as possible. I really, that's something that I've learned and I appreciate from that culture, that you do proper business cases, spend a lot of time to study, go deep down, understand everything, know the pros and cons very well, prove them, and then go get a sign off and then do. So that mindset really helps. And then in some cases, right, you can't get the benefits by just operating the same way. This is how I will do, this is how I have been doing. No, you have to change the operating models in favor of technology. And that also can be done only with by influencing people with change management approach. And another thing is that as project managers, right, now I'm sure you will all agree, you in some way or the other, whether you work for IT or not, some way or the other, you have to work in IT projects. Either you have to run IT projects, even if you're not an IT person, or you have to work on, be stakeholders in other IT projects. And so if you are in that kind of a situation, then the mindset should be hello.
Kok per September 21?
Hello.
Sorry, keep going, Geetha.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so the that's why, like, no, now we have to be as somehow or the other, whether we like it or not, we are all in some ways IT project leads, like I explained. So that security should come as part of our mindset. Whatever projects that are getting implemented, we have to look at it from a security perspective. That has to be mandatorily the mindset. How secure is what you are implementing, either on your own, either as you are the project leader. How secure is the products that you are implementing? Have you ensured enough? Or if you are part of other IT projects, you must ensure that security is taken care of. All the security concerns are addressed. And that's why we call it secure by design. Even at the designing stages, these have to be taken care of, so that downstream we don't have problems. And finally, a risk-based approach. We are sometimes, right, as project managers, we are taught, please don't take, please manage risks, document all the risks. Like I said, some risks you can't predict before. And sometimes you have to take risks. If you don't take risks, you don't get the benefits. You have to implement and see. But can you do big bang? No. You should customize. Start small. Always risks. If you're taking risks, start small. And then see how sustainable it is, and then scale up. And most important thing, right, in digital transformation projects, funding. Technology funding is the way to go forward. Without funds, right, unfortunately, digital transformation projects will fail without the right funding. And companies have to have that mindset. As project managers, we have to ensure that there is enough funding for whatever we are starting. And there is enough contingency for whatever we are starting. Otherwise, right, you will not only be running failed projects, but also it will be like a big dishonor to your profession. Like, we don't secure the budget, if we don't secure, if we are not smart enough to do that, then it's a big dishonor to ourselves. So which is why funding is a very, very important factor here. So I hope those tips were useful. I'll move on to the case study now. That's the third bit. And this is from my previous organization, and this my experience with them. When I first joined them, the task that I was given was a transformation project at scale. Meaning, we have to do a program not for one company, not for one group. We have to do for the whole region. And the whole region has 70 plus companies. So meaning there are 70 different business units we have to do this for in 1 year. And that is amazing. And we didn't know where to start at that time. And then we also didn't know what is required. And how can you ensure that it will work, whatever you do? And then we went into the thought process of, is there a process with which we can do? And that's when we decided on one particular framework. Once we decide the framework, the next question was, how can you measure it? Because if we don't measure it, we can't show progress across such a large group, right? And that was quite a scary thing, if you ask me. We don't know where to start. And like you, like everybody, I also have my doubts and fears. How do you measure them? You know, how will you prove that this is successful? Those were the initial thoughts. And that's when I came across this concept of framework called ADKAR. Have you all heard about ADKAR? I'm not promoting ADKAR. It's a framework by a US institute called ProSci. I'm not promoting them, but what I'm saying is this was the framework that we implemented for this program, and it was a huge success. So personally, I have used it, and it works very well if done properly. Have you all heard about ADKAR? Anyone? Okay, no messages. So that means you might not have heard. Let me explain. A stands for awareness. What is the change that you are trying to make? Please make people aware. That is the first step. Awareness of the change. Are they going to complain? Yes, they will complain. But please make everybody know that this is the change we are planning. That is first step. Second step, desire to support the change. Meaning you influence people so that they get interested to support your change. Third step is knowledge. Just interest is not enough. They have to have the knowledge to change. Maybe learn the technology, etc. Train them. And the fourth step is the ability. Ability to change. What does that mean? Are they skilled enough to demonstrate the skills and behavior? Meaning you're helping them to learn. After that, they should be able to embrace the change and work on the change. And finally, R stands for reinforcement. Reinforcement means just by doing one time, people are not going to follow it. You have to keep repeating. It's an iteration, kind of an agile methodology where you have to keep repeating so that the change sticks. It's not that they accept the product today, 1 month down the lane, nobody is using it. And yeah, so somebody says that it's mentioned in the PMI 7th edition. That's interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, this is ADKAR. I hope the concept is clear. I have explained properly. Let me move on to the, how we implemented this in the organization. So in 2020, we ran a digital transformation end user program. That is what I told you about, the transformation at scale. And then in 2021, we did a cloud migration using the same concept. Was a huge success. And in 2022, we did a huge SD-WAN rollout across the whole group companies. It was a huge success. And in 2023, we embarked on a digital transformation modernization change program. And I left before that. Before this was completed, I left early this year. So what I'm trying to say is, if it is done properly, it can work very well. And this is like a series of projects that I'm showing you here. Now let's go into that case study that we saw, I was talking about in 2020. So let me explain to you. I'm just trying to find a way to minimize my. Oh, sorry, unable to. I hope you can see what's there in the below. Maybe I'll move this here. This is very important. Just have a look at this. So the technology was there in May 2019, even before COVID, and they were trying to promote it. And then what happened from January, I joined in October 2019. And then that's when the first project was this. So it took a few months for me to set it up. And then we started in January 2020, before COVID. And then we planned for 1 year. And this is what happened. In 2019, like I said, the technology was implemented, the proof of concept done, but there were no takers, only ex-users were subscribed. So the next 6 months, right, until I joined, they tried to introduce joining perks, meaning to influence people to take up these services, a small growth. Then the next stage is, meaning by then they have also already done some change management, awareness, etc. But the growth was not that much. And then in January, when we started the actual program, we started the awareness phase. As you can see there, with a little more of promotion and pushing, it actually doubled up once we started a program. And then we started the awareness program. Do you know what we did in the awareness program? With such a group, 70 plus companies, we made a list of all the 70 business units, documented the key stakeholders, the MDs, etc., in that list, identified the key influencers in that list. So I had such a huge Excel sheet, put all the name lists together, called them one by one. It was so much of hard work, but unfortunately, in this kind of a culture where people, normally the culture, they don't accept change easily, very traditional culture. How do you influence them? They will say, yes, nice, Geetha-san, we'll come back to you. They won't accept it. So that is why it was very important to have the personal connection. Call them one by one. In my Excel sheet, I had the date which I called them. So that, it's like tomorrow, it's for my own reference, right? I'm not going to show everybody, hey, I called you on the 25th of April. No, but that is for my own tracking. All 70 companies, we attacked one by one, targeted one by one, call them, explain to them. And then you can see the next stage of desire, right? Like where we had digital champions, did more promotion work, etc. Even before pandemic, 8 times growth, from two times to 8 times growth. My target for that year was 8 times. So when I took up the project, my boss said, your goal is 8 times. If you meet the 8 times growth, I will mark your KPI as 100% completed. So literally the target he gave me for the whole year, we saw even in the desire stage. So we were like mind blown when we saw the report. And that time only pandemic started. And after that, right, everything became virtual. At least before that, we could go to office, meet people, meet the business units that were in Singapore, etc. But after that, totally virtual. And now we had to deal with the rest of the world. Rest of Asia, who were all like stuck in their own countries with lockdowns, etc. But we still had to run this program. And then what we did was we brought in the service provider. I don't want to name the service provider, but the service provider is the owner of the technology. So we knew that if we have to do this virtually, etc., then we need the service providers' help. But they were so happy to come in with no extra cost. They came, they did virtual trainings, they trained the trainer. Like there were literally 400 people in each training that we took up and trained. Training not as in like just 2 hour training and just explain the whole product, how to use it. Then they gave us so many materials. We don't have to create anything new. They gave us all the materials. And then from the business units, they helped in translating, because in Thailand, you have to speak, show Thai content. I'm sure in Indonesia, also we had to have Indonesian language materials. Right. Actually, in Indonesia, no, we didn't have. We only had Thai and Vietnam, where the script was a problem. At least in Indonesia, even with English content, we were able to manage, if I remember correctly. So, but what I'm trying to say is that level of knowledge, increasing the knowledge we give to the end users. These are all the end users who are going to use the systems. I'm not talking about the bosses. I'm talking about people on the ground. And you see 29 times growth. That was amazing. How can I say 29 times growth? Because we had proper measuring systems. I can tell you every real time who is using the system, how much. We had that kind of measurement. Using Power BI, we created detailed reporting. So I can tell you out of the 70 companies, how many have subscribed. In each company, how many subscribers, and how many of them are using how much. So I can tell that. And finally, then the next stage of ability, right? People start using the system. We constantly kept sending newsletters, and other things, we constantly engaged them. And finally, when the program closed at the end of the year, it's still a project for me, right? I had to close the project, move it to operation. So I set up a center of excellence. Our help desk, we train the help desk to take on any questions. After this, after December, we don't want the questions to come to the project team. We will dissolve the project team, and then we will go do other things, and we hand it over to operations. And then we forgot about it. I went on to do other projects. Like I said, I went to do the other digital transformation cloud project after that. Then 4 months down the lane, I got a message saying that, hey, you have got an award from the president. I was like, why? And then they said, no, this digital transformation program that you guys did, there's an award. And so what I did was I made a report in April. This is in April 2021, to see how much is the usage, because I was worried we are getting award, and what if the report, the usage drops, and it will look very shameful. As you can see, I did not do anything. We stopped the project, we stopped the program, moved to operations. Even then, without any influence, the project kept on growing, the volume kept on growing. This was a very startling thing for myself. I did not expect this. And why? How did this happen? Because there were a lot of people who resisted during the change, right? We went to manufacturing people and we said, please take up the digital transformation program. You know what they said? Hey, in COVID, I can't even keep my factory open. I can't even bring people to build your products. I can't make sales. And you are asking me to spend on digital transformation. It was a very logical thing, and we did not disturb them. The moment they explained, we left them alone. And what happened at the end of COVID, when things started getting normal, by then they realized that everybody else, the whole organization was transformed except for them. And silently they subscribed. They have been slowly subscribing as the business started getting better. And this growth actually came from those people who did not want, who had other priorities at that time, and they onboarded themselves. This is the power of influence. Looking at your peers, when the whole company is digital, only you are analog, then you also naturally don't feel good and you want to change. And that's an example of a real case study that I went through. And this project is something that I'm very proud of, and has taught me so many things. I've had to deal with so many difficult stakeholders, difficult people. Some people will just simply come and say, hey, your project does not work, your product does not work. And we will be like, no, we gave you training, we explained this to you. They're, no, I don't understand. And then I realized, hey, that's a limitation of the product. This is what you are asking, the product cannot do. I cannot satisfy your requirement simply because the product cannot do what you're asking. That doesn't mean the whole project is a failure. And then we just have to manage those kinds of stakeholders and those kinds of expectations. But in some cases, we went back to the product owner, the vendor, and we asked them to, increase those capabilities. What they could do, they did. But there's only so much you can get, right? Then I would tell them, hey, you're paying $10 per service. Why don't you take up the $30 service so that you can get what you want? And then people will keep quiet. If they can spend it, if it's really necessary, they will spend it and subscribe. If not, they will just be happy with what they have. Any questions here so far? These are all the things that we did. I'll send the slides through Rio. You can go through this later on what all the individual things. So you can see how much of hard work has gone to it. These numbers didn't come on their own. It's all of this that we had to do. And this is the last slide from my side. I'll quickly wrap up with this and I'll take any questions from there. That's why I say communication is very important. Resistance management is important. Sometimes you can't fight everybody. You can't explain to everybody. You just have to use senior management support to influence. When some business units did not respond, we brought in our MDs to talk to their MDs. I'm not saying I did everything on my own. I had very good support from our senior management. When some business units did not support, we made our MD talk to their MD, and between them they came to an agreement, and naturally the people below supported. So which is why, right, everything a project manager cannot do. We should know our limitations. We should know when to bring in whom. And that was something that really helped us. Measure and manage. Like I told you, I could tell you exactly what we did in each stage, who used how much. That is because we had spent a lot of time in setting up those reports. And once you set up those reports digitally, then after this, it becomes easier to measure and manage. And like I said, managing expectations. You can't please everybody. Sometimes you just have to tell them, sorry, this is how the product works. And if there is something you can do, you must do. If not, we have to just explain to the customer. And partnerships, like I told you, right, in this case, if I had decided to make the training materials, you can imagine how much of time I would have wasted, how much of I wouldn't have done a good job, because it's not my product. I'm buying from just because we brought in the product owner itself. They already had the materials, and all I had to do is translate for the relevant countries. And the partnership is really helpful. And sponsorship, like I told you, this technology was there in 6 months, 8 months before we started the program. How? That's because our own IT invested in it, tested it, kept it ready, then only started promoting it. But if we wait for the business units to invest, it's never going to happen, which is why technology funding, like I earlier said, is a very, very, very important thing in digital transformation. And trainings, we must train our users, and up to the last user we must train. Do not neglect anybody. If you want people to use your product, you must train them. Otherwise, you can build fancy products, you can build useful products that nobody will understand, nobody will use. And support structure, right? You can close a project, but a good project manager will ensure that there is a good support structure in operations before moving on. And that should come as part of our culture, our project culture. And incentivize usage. What we did was we ran a lot of competitions. Whoever the business units who were very keen, very supportive, we gave them many awards, we gave them a lot of benefits, bonus, etc., so that influence others, influence them to use more, and influence them to promote our products, and others who see it were also naturally influenced. So it was like a little bit of a mind, influencing the mind. And finally, self-help mindset. We cannot, there were thousands of, like tens of thousands of people involved in this program. We cannot train, or we cannot help everybody every day, which is why we built a lot of self-help material, right? If we had a huge FAQ, we had all the links, everything in easily accessible to the end user, so that when there is a question that comes to the help desk, the help desk does not answer the question. The help desk points the user to the right content, so that the help desk job is easy. The user also reads and understands. And in these products actually have so many materials that we don't have to, sit and answer every customer and every user and waste the, help desk's time. So this was the whole, how we built the whole program and etc. And I hope that was useful. That brings me to the end of my slide. And yeah, I'm happy to take questions here. This is my LinkedIn. I'll be happy if you guys can connect with me. And I'm gonna take questions now. Rio, if we have time, Rio, do we have time?
Yeah, we still have time. Very interesting. We have a few questions to direct message. The first, how to engage and motivate employee and stakeholder to support sustainable change.
Rio, can you put that question in the chat, Rio, please?
Okay.
Yeah, let's open up. It's a very nice question from Raditya. I'll come to that, Raditya. And before that, let's take Rio's question and then I'll answer this. Hello, Rio. Are you copying the question here to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry. Wait a minute.
Okay. Oh, few questions. How to identify barriers that may arise during the change process that could impact sustainable success? Identify barriers during the change process. How did we identify barriers? I'll tell you some examples. Okay, don't laugh with this answer, okay? But really, this is what we did. In your stakeholder group, right? When you put the name list together, you will know who are the difficult people. Like I earlier said, technology is not important. The most important thing is the people. The first barrier in a change program will be people. Please make the list. We made the list. We saw who are the difficult people. Whom can we directly call? For which meetings should we bring the MD? Because some MDs, when you call, they will pick the phone. When you invite for a meeting, they will come. But some MDs will check in the list if your MD is there, and then they will join. That is a barrier on its own. This kind of people, influence from people was our biggest barriers. And so that was one way, like we identify what kind of stakeholders will give us what kind of problems. How do you navigate those people? Some people, right, are very legitimate. They will have very legitimate concerns. You just ensure that in the materials that you are preparing for them, you ensure to knowing their mindset, you already answer those questions in your slides. So when they see your slides, when they see your explanation, they know the important concerns are already taken care of. I'm not saying people are bad. All I'm saying is people have certain concerns that we need to address. So the barriers are mainly people, right? You can do that with people. Let's take the process barriers. The next step, which is process barriers. When you start implementing something, then only you will see where all it breaks. Sometimes during the planning stage, you cannot find out all the problems. But when you start implementing, you'll be like, hey, I did not think this through. And then what do? Do you stop that? No. Make a change request and accept that change, which is important. Get everybody's consensus, may accept the change and include that change and change the process. Then the next step is technology barriers. Like I said, the technology itself may not have all the capabilities. Sometimes it can be done with 2 or 3 steps. We can just talk to the vendor, hey, can you just add this functionality? Can you just add that functionality? The vendor will say, no problem, I can do it for you. Sometimes the vendor will give you a bill and say, hey, it's a total change management. I need extra $50,000. Can you do that? No. Then you just explain to the customer, hey, the requirement that you are asking cannot be done. It was not identified during the project stage. So it's not part of the product. So for the service that we are, for the subscription fee that we are paying, this is what comes with it. So you just explain to the customer and handle them. So in my opinion, if it has to be sustainable, please take a people view to things. Then a lot of it will become easier. It's very easy to say. I know I'm saying this, but on the ground, doing it is very difficult. So we just take it case by case. I hope I have answered that properly. Now let's go to the second question. How to engage and motivate employees and stakeholders to support sustainable change. How to engage and motivate employees and stakeholders to support sustainable change. Two ways you can do it, in my opinion. One is show them what is in it for them. If you show to your employees and your stakeholders and your end users that you're going to change their current work from which takes 5 days to 10 minutes, will the customer say no? If you tell the customer, your end user, I am going to introduce this change, they will say, I don't need it. But if you tell the same person, I am going to improve your work efficiency by changing this process, which will save 5 days of your time every month, will they say no? It's how you position it. And that is one way, showing them what is in it for them on what you're doing, right? Then the second way is the desire, that stage of the desire for that we saw in the change management framework. We are all social people, right? Like humans are social beings, and we look at others. When you compare your state with people, with peers, and show them how different or how lagging they are, they will accept the change immediately. All you can say is, this business unit has implemented this last year and this is their saving. And then their MDs will think, oh, my business unit has not done this, then I'm behind. That creates a natural drive. And if it is a legitimate thing, if you can prove this legitimacy, if it's really adding value, people will change. So that's another way of engaging and motivating people, right? Showing them what's in it for them, and then comparing against similar people who have already done that to show the difference. And then the third one is, what is the role of communication in a change management approach? The role of communication, right? Like I said, communication is not making newsletter. Communication is not sending monthly report. Communication is taking every problem seriously, discussing with the right stakeholders. Somebody writes you a email saying, I am not, what is the status of the project? I'm not happy with this. Some business unit is asking. What do you do? Understand why they are asking, call them for a meeting, sit with them, show them what has been done, explain to them, give them supporting materials, give them assurance, tell them your plan for the next month, do the plan, go back to them and tell them, hey, last month I promised you that we will get this done. Here is your output. That is the role of communication. It's not just execution. It is executing and communicating together. That is how you get sustainable success. And then another communication is proactive communication, right? Like I said, give users the information even before they ask you. Show them the status for the whole organization so that they see themselves against others and naturally support these changes. And then that's also a communication. And then communicate with senior management. Please always, always, always do not underestimate the power of the senior management. Because if one senior member of the senior management thinks that this is not going well, it is lagging, they will influence everybody else, and it's going to cause unnecessary headache. So which is why it is very, very important to communicate regularly with the people on the top as much as you communicate with people on the bottom. And the fourth question, how will you measure sustainable success that you have implemented? This one, right? You should not do it after you implement. Measurement should start before doing anything else. When you are designing the project, when you are designing the product, we must design the reports that will come out of the project. Why do I say that? When you are designing the product, one of the functionality of the product or the product or whatever you're doing should be report. How will the report look like? What is the frequency of the report? What data will go into the report? What is the source of the data? Is that data digital? Can you make all of this digital? That is a thinking which you should do in the project design stage and get that signed off by all the stakeholders. Go build those reports. If you have to invest extra, you must invest to get those reports done so that when the implementation starts, you can start measuring the output. And in my case, right, like I told you, we built a separate Power BI platform, and that was directly connected to the data that is coming out from the overall system. And I had one person doing this job for the data, pumping the data took 1 week. Every month, last week of the month, the job was to do those reports, pull out the data, process the data. It took 1 week, I'm not joking, and then pump it into Power BI. Simply because the product was not allowed to automate that process. The product, the vendor product didn't have mechanism to collate and automate it. But the Power BI was automated, but the report generation itself was very manual and tedious. It took 5 days. So what I did was, the first few months, I set up the framework, the flow myself. I would spend 5 days every month doing it. And then I hired one intern to take it on from me. And that person's job was to do these reports end of the month and pump it into Power BI. And Power BI simply gives you those outputs. So that's just one example. And now I want to go to Raditya's question. Have you ever felt personal when change management didn't go well? Or you did your best effort, making you feel down? And how did you get back for better conditions? Thank you for asking this kind of personal question, which is I really love. This shows, we are all human beings and we have our ups and downs. Like I told you, right, in a project, do I build forget about change management. Even in a project, whatever plan you do, however intelligently you plan, you must remember that it will not go as per plan. Even your plan will fail. You must remember that. Whenever I make a plan, the moment I will always have a thought in my mind. What all can go wrong in this plan? There's only so much I can imagine, but after that, I will just simply, follow it, execute it, and see where it breaks. But I'll be very smart to see the moment it breaks, I will immediately jump in and take action. Until then, I'll just be supervising. So same for change management. When things don't go wrong, of course you will take it personal. But should we sit and cry over it? No. That is the cue to jump in, to go deep dive. They say, in my master's, they taught me one technique. They say, as project leaders, you have to have a 30,000 feet view, meaning you make a plan, you see from the top, just supervise everything is going well. But then you suddenly become an eagle. When there is a problem, you have to zoom into the problem and go deep down. Go down, get it fixed, sort the problem, go back to your 30,000 view. And you have to stay there to see what else is happening. So that is something that I find very useful. When there is a problem, yes, I get affected, but I jump in, get it sorted, and then I go back to my normal state to oversee everything else. Because if you are too worried about one problem, there'll be 1,000 other problems that will creep up, and then the whole thing will fail. So which is why, go down, fix it, go back up, and see what else is happening. So yeah, don't take anything personal. Just see how you can use that as your motivation to move forward. And finally, the last question I think from Donnie is, how do you change the mindset from people in organization? And mindset must force from top management. Mindset from people in organization, like I told you, right, like I told you some examples, right? Some people don't want to talk to you, but they will talk to you if you bring the bosses. They will listen to you if you bring the bosses. If the bosses say, if the bosses approve the project, they'll do the project. But you can spend 5 hours, 10 hours with them trying to explain on your own. No, they will not accept it. That's sadly the mindset of people, right? And that is why you have to be smart enough to bring in the right stakeholders to influence people. Oh, if you will only talk to my MD, yes, I'll bring my MD. Let's sign it off. Let's get the acceptance, document it, and then I go full-fledged. And I explained a little bit on the mindset thing during my slides. First is change the mindset of people is, again, like show them what is in it for them. That also works. What do I get out of it? What is my personal gain from this project? Is it good enough? If whatever you're suggesting is not good enough, right, then you're not doing a good digital transformation project. You don't have a strong case. If you have a strong case, if you have, if you're able to show what is the value in for people, they'll be able to support and just influence here and there, use the right group, like in sometimes, right, the desire stage is, do not underestimate the desire stage. The moment you see one department is doing better than you, the department is 90% already on that. So what we did was, when we made those reports, we published the reports to everybody. So company A could see company B data. Company B could see everybody else's data. Then when company A is already 90%, company B is only 10%, they get curious. Then they'll call you. You will be amazed. They would just simply, I will be waiting to send the report. The moment I send the report, those people who are lagging will call me. Until then, I'll be calling them. They won't pick up the phone. But the moment the report goes out in the common forum and they see that they are in the lower part of the list, they'll call me. Hey, can you get this done for me? Will I say no? Of course, I'll say yes. I'll get it done for you. And then I will jump in, put my team on it, get that implemented. So this is one way of changing the mindset, using these different mechanisms. Yeah, I think I tried my best to answer them. I hope it was okay. Still, anybody has any other questions or concerns? Great.
Yeah, the last question has answered. And then it's okay from Pak Doni. A very insightful session. Geetha, thank you very much. Before we close this session, we take a picture together.
Yes. So thank you for this opportunity. I really enjoyed speaking today.
Yeah, very insightful. For the participant, please open your camera so we can take the picture.
I think you need to answer it.
Oh yeah, please answer your screen, yeah.
Sorry. Right? Is that okay?
I will take some page here. Okay, smile. We have 4 page. Okay. Second. Okay. The third page. Okay, this is the last page. Okay, thank you, Geetha and everyone.
Thank you for this opportunity. Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, Geetha.
Thank you.
Geetha, I have a friend in Singapore. I think you may know him. He's
Yeah.
working in Mercedes also, yeah, in name is Rahmat Purwa.
Rahmat Punarwa.
You know him?
Of course. Nice.
He's
It's a
this in
small
Singapore, I
world.
think.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He's in Singapore,
Yeah.
still in Mercedes, I think.
Yes. Rahmat.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a small, very nice person. Very, very nice person.
Yes, it.
Yeah.
He's my friends in university, college.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
All
Say
right.
hello
Great,
to you.
guys. Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys ever come to Singapore, give me a shout. Connect with me in LinkedIn. We'll be in touch. And next time, invite me to your PMI events in Indonesia. We would love
For
to come.
sure. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah,
Thanks,
sure.
Geetha.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
Thank
evening.
you very much.
Bye. I'll drop it.
Oke, saya end meetingnya semua. Terima kasih. Selamat malam.